Cool. So actually, if this video is going to be published, I am saying hello, everybody. And,
Hi.
uh, so actually, what we did with Olivera, we decided that we will meet, and we met each other on YouTube because she also has her channel with where she talks about healing souls, and Olivera has her own way of healing souls. So I think it would be interesting to talk about our experiences with soul healing and soul reading. I mean, everybody does soul reading a little bit differently, as I learned today. So um, we can look at Olivera. Maybe could you please share again?
Yeah, okay. We spoke a little bit about it, so it's again. I do hypnotherapy, but it's a spiritual regression. It's hypnosis. It's just a technique that I use to get people into theta waves mode of and remove mental mind. So I have a process that I've been taught of how to use. This is a school, Michael Newton School, and I've been taught to do that. So basically, I don't do a reading. I'm a guide of this process, and I do a set process. It's always different with different clients. Sometimes it's not like I imagine it to be, so they do their own thing. But I start at childhood because we basically look for a karmic pattern that it's creating problems for this client, or some lesson that was not learned in previous lifetime or lifetimes that's been repeated. So they usually come to see me when they need to go to the next level or to the next grade, so that they don't go repeating their lessons again. It's like passing a test, sort of speaking. It's just that you have a little help and a guide. So the idea is to embody your soul and understand who you really are on that soul plane, who your eternal self is, who you are as a soul, because all of this life, past lives, and all of these experiences are roles that we play for some reason, for some lesson that we have, or unfinished business that we didn't finish, or something, whatever we thought. And usually there is a story that we carry with ourselves within our subconscious and higher consciousness also, that story sometimes had a purpose and worked for a while, but now it's not working anymore for us. It was protecting us, it was helping us, creating us an experience, but now this experience needs to be integrated so that we can move on to some next plane of our life. And soul development, basically what I do is soul development. So I was taught not to do reading, although I do receive information during the session, because it's about the autonomy of the client and their own evolution, their own understanding of their own choices and why they made those choices, why those experiences that they had were needed for them, so that they either develop or understand or heal something. It's usually about healing something that is really, really difficult, which starts in past life or several past lives. Because when you have a karmic pattern, it kind of repeats itself for, I don't know, hundreds of lives. So I start in childhood, and we work on inner child integration, and work with parents and the beliefs and energies that we picked up from our parents, and cords, whether karmic cords or just energetic cords that they have with us, which we remove at that time. And then in womb also, because in the womb the first unconscious memories come up. When you work with childhood, sometimes clients still have conscious memories, and they, in this kind of work, they have some certain set of beliefs of how hypnosis looks like, and they usually think, because they talk to me, that they're not under hypnosis, which is which is not true. You don't have to be. You can just, it's about receiving information, and it's about connecting them with their own intuition so that they can do this for themselves and develop. Because it's kind of a soul awakening, if you I mean, I think it's a strong word, but it's kind of. So in the womb, we still work with parents, but also with the lesson. Usually clients remember in the womb in prenatal period while they're still in mother's womb, what is the lesson that they came to learn in this lifetime. Not maybe what the lesson was needed, but what the lesson is, because you see when you ask them whether they want to come out or they don't want to come out from the womb, and the baby also feels and senses everything that mother feels. That's epigenetics. Epigenetics is a science that speaks about it, so it's legitimate. It's spoken about. So you pick up, and it's not only that you pick up subconsciously, but also you pick up with your energy. And then sometimes, if a child is already coming spiritually developed, they can create some blocks for themselves like this. If they're, I don't know, clearing energy or helping their mom, or something happens during this. Sometimes nothing happens, but it's a process that we just do for the mental mind to get used to receiving information in a different way.
Yeah.
And also clearing of this old energy that we picked up in this life, so that we can receive new energy, our soul's energy. And then after that, we go to past life, where we look for this karmic pattern. It's usually, I look for a topic. So they come with a certain topic, what they want to work on. And whatever we speak before the session, that usually comes out. So it's usually one life, but sometimes 2 or 3 that we visit. I don't do more than this, because more important process is coming after this. This is still clearing of the old energy. And there we look for the story that happened, the story that is still binding their energy to this reality. And it's pulling them in some way, whether with emotions or dynamic, whatever happened. So that which we call karmic pattern or karma is emotion. It's energy that is wrapped up through this story that's unfinished for whatever reason and unhealed. And it's like in any trauma, when something happens in this life, and then you don't have the time to process emotions, your mental mind shuts the emotional mind so that you can go through it, so that you can survive that. And it's completely okay. It has to be like that. But at a certain point, we have to take a look at those emotions, because they're going to create problems. They don't go anywhere. They do loops in our system, not only in our body, but in our energy body, and it's in our brain. And if we don't, we just continue pushing these emotions under the carpet, they will start coming out in not so very healthy ways, and that will create problems usually in our most closest relationships and the things that are most important to us. Because they want to be witnessed. They want to be, our soul wants this healed, so that we can function from our best version of ourselves, not only from this. Whenever something is unhealed, it will start like a child pulling your attention so that you look at it. So this is basically why we do it. And when we look at the story, when the emotions come out that are creating this energy and dynamic that you live in, that you're repeating, we look for beliefs, set of beliefs that you took with yourself from this experience. Because usually when something bad happens, we tell ourselves, I'm never going to do this again. I will never have a child again, or I will never use my talent again, or whatever, because you got hurt.
Yeah.
Or because if you were very traumatized and then you did something wrong out of, I don't know, these unhealed emotions, then again, you're going to say to yourself, no, I'm not a good person. I'm not going to do this ever again. Yeah. And then you live, you live lives from this thought, which at certain point needs to be cleared and addressed. And this is what we do. We pick up talents, whatever is it that we need from this life, we take it back. And whatever we don't need, we leave it there, so that it doesn't, because point is, it's not about knowing who you were and what you did. It's about this life not pulling you anymore, because it's not you anymore. That life is over, and you don't have to repeat that lesson again. And even that itself, for some clients, is enough. But the most important part happens when we go to the multidimensional plane, where in life between lives, where soul lives before it incarnates, because all of our choices are made there. There are certain stations there that we visit, but the most important part are meeting with your primary soul guide, who's your guide through incarnations. And for me, it's important to create conscious connection with this guide, because usually people tend to attach a lot to an external source of information and guidance and wisdom, which is fine until a certain point. But if you want to develop, and if you want to be spiritually adept and then develop even further and past their certain levels, then you have to be independent and rely on your own soul. And because also then nobody attaches to you and manipulates you and do strange things to you. But when you are developing your own intuition and have a communication with your soul and your guide is not necessarily your soul.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a part of this larger being, but what I've witnessed with my clients, it's a little bit different. It's somebody who you're assigned to. It's usually angels, and they're in charge for you and for your development, like your mentors throughout lifetimes. And that's somebody who knows you best because they know you through your lifetimes.
Mm.
And yeah, and then you have the autonomy to always connect. Some people are not feeling very what's the word in English? I'm looking for the word in English. They don't feel secure, so they think that they're imagining stuff. But there are ways that we ask, how does it feel when the guide is there? How do they communicate with you? How do they send you messages? Because they are externalized sometimes.
Yeah. Mm.
And then we go to the Council of Elders, which are wiser beings who are guides, mentors, or ancestors. They don't incarnate anymore. They have been incarnating, like as in your guide has lived a similar path like you. So this is why they can be sponsoring you and be responsible for you.
Yeah.
But your mentors are your teachers on higher plane. They don't come to the physical plane like your guide.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes go somewhere, and they're responsible for your development in whatever skills, spiritual skills or power CDs that you are developing and working with. Because the process of these kind of sessions is to understand what is your soul purpose, what you do there. We don't bring our entire energy here. Largest portion is left there, and it's alive and it's doing something. And I don't know, sometimes you're still a baby and you're learning, you're a baby soul. But sometimes you're a very skilled soul and you're teaching others there. But you can get entangled in this 3D world with all of the connections and stuff. You don't, maybe you don't know how to do relationships, for instance, and this is creating a little bit of issues for you. And then you need a little bit of help. So basically, they clear. This is where transformation happens. They do healings. If the body or energy needs healing, they remove cords or any heavy energy, black magic, and other stuff that is happening. That I was taught before that something like that never happens. But when I was working, the more I worked, the more things like this came up to the surface. So, yeah, anything you can imagine basically exists.
Yeah.
So whatever is in your mind and your subconscious or even super conscious, it's in collective too. So at some point when you start developing, you will have to face it, because we can't develop if we don't meet different kinds of energies than ours. We won't develop. We have to be exposed to differences. And
Yeah.
it's the same with the soul. So yeah, then we activate those talents that were either forgotten and used before. And looking through the eyes of my clients and in my own experience, when some of the gifts come back to you that you used to use before in previous lives, sometimes this body that you have now doesn't know what to do with it, and they create a little bit of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you need somebody to help you with that then. So basically, this is why the Council of Elders does activates your talents, gives not give it back. If they're new, they sort of lift it up,
Mm-hmm.
but they continue working with you. It's just, in the beginning, the more conscious connection than what you would have in dreams, because not everybody remembers their dreams, for instance. but it's needed, you know. Sometimes, I don't know, if you're throwing lightning, I mean, what you're going to do with that in physical reality, and your body is processing something still. So then you end up, I don't know, blowing your technology or off, and your light bulbs and fuse boxes and stuff like that. I mean, I've had experiences like this, so I was creating problems for myself with this. And I don't know, I have clients with some other kinds of experiences that they didn't know that they already are using something, and it's developing in them, and they're doing something. For instance, they're clearing other people because they are cleaners. I don't know the better word for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound nice, but I don't have a better word. But they absorb, and
Mm.
they don't know what to do with this energy, so they create more problems for them, because you're basically constantly in somebody else's energy, somebody else's problems, and you don't even get to address your own. And then what to do with that? Sometimes stronger energies need to interfere and help you with these kind of things,
Mm.
or change some agreements that you have. It's usually agreement with your own soul that you
Mhm.
need to change, but also with other people that are very negative and not serving you anymore. So this is what happens in Council of Elders place. That doesn't last for very long, because usually client, it's a different kind of energy that clients are not used to, and they cannot spend too much time there. Same as in soul group, because it's like completely pure love energy, and it's felt. The difference in the energy is felt. Soul group is your primary soul group, as in your spiritual family, who is your spiritual family on that plane. Sometimes they're incarnate, sometimes they're not. Sometimes there are entanglements that need to be resolved before you can meet them, and some karma and some other stuff that you developed in this lifetime. And it's about the lesson that you as a group learn in this place, because if it cannot serve your lesson for you to meet or work together, then you won't still meet until you process some of the things.
Mm.
And it's a different, when you start downloading the energy of your soul, it can create some problems in physical reality, especially when you meet your soul group, because everything that's been unaddressed, especially when you meet your primary soulmate, we call it primary soulmate, but usually people call it twin flame.
Mhm.
That pushes out everything, and
Yeah.
sometimes it can be too much. It's not only with your soul, with your primary soulmate, with twin flame. It's with each member of your group, because you download this, the same energy.
Mm.
You're pulling down the same energy, your same sphere, and it's more like you're downloading the oversoul of the group, much larger sphere. And yeah, although this energy might be needed on an earthly plane, when everything starts coming out to the surface, it can get overwhelming and too much, and create a lot more work for you than you actually expected it to be. So it's not, yeah, it's fun and games with soul group, but not not always, especially if you decide that you don't want to deal with something, that you don't want to go there, it's too difficult. You usually need an expert's help then, which your soulmates are there to help you with that. But our mental mind on physical plane can get scared from
Yeah,
that.
definitely. And if I can contribute
Yeah,
to that,
sure.
I think it's amazing that you took us through this journey, because I think it speaks very detailed about every detail of soul's journey here in this lifetime. And I think it's great that we are living in a time when we can actually see and look at those things, because as you know from your from your work probably, there in past 2, 3, 4,000 years it was impossible to do this in public, and and teach other people to open up their soul gifts, and especially for women, it would be impossible. I don't know how it went in Serbia, but here the church was very strict in medieval times about women developing their spiritual gifts. So this is also something which we are clearing regularly in our sessions, like people who are stepping into their spiritual purpose, and they try to serve as light workers or soul healers, and so on. They usually have to clear the layer of past lives where they made all those decisions, like if I'm doing this, I'm going to die or burn, or God will not see me, and so on. So it's awesome that you are actually going through all those layers, and if you manage it during one session, it's beautiful. And when you were saying that maybe my the way I'm working with my clients is like that, I suppose that they are more spiritually evolved. I think that every soul is as evolved as they can. Like if they can get something from your session, or from what I learned now from you, it sounds like either they can move a little bit just in a comfortable pace, but when they decide that they are going to awaken, like hell yeah, I'm going to turn on all my gifts at once, I think they can if they decide. So I think you are doing really powerful work. I am really interested how it goes for people in Serbia, because I guess the culture heritage is a little bit different than here. There are many similarities in our history, but how do you feel? How is it for the collective in your country? Is it like, is everybody there doing the spiritual stuff right now, or is it more like slow pace and
No, it became really popular. It's trendy at the moment. At the moment, it's really trendy. It doesn't go really very deep. Well, at least not as deep as I would like it to go, because in my session they go really deep. If I mean, they just have to. I have clients that are really ready to remove something from them and not repeat it. So the session won't work only if you are not ready to give up on something that was creating problems for
yeah?
you.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's popular. I mean, I started doing this in 2015, and then it just started developing. It wasn't this popular. Michael Newton School that I kind of belong to, that I went to school, they're popular. He's popular, but there's Dolores Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
She's not as popular as he is, but it's similar kind of work. And there are other schools who are doing past life regression, but not too many who are doing soul level, soul plane.
Yeah.
But spirituality on itself became very popular, and like Reiki healing, Theta healing. I don't know if that's popular there. Shamanic work. I mean, I don't know. It looks like the entire Serbian population have been Native American or Latin American at some point, because that's very popular around here. And I don't know, working with plants. We
Mhm.
were socialist country, so spirituality and of that kind was not existent at all. So even we're Orthodox Christian, and even Orthodox Church was not very popular, because
Mhm.
you couldn't be spiritual. That doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. Then we're all atheists.
Yeah.
And they were punished when they were going to church, and when we were maintaining our tradition,
Mhm.
which is connected very much to orthodoxy. But orthodoxy, at least in our culture, has a lot of pagan tradition embedded in it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So a lot of worshiping of nature and goddess energy, which is basically awakening now. And yeah, that is creating some heavy stuff around here, because we're patriarchal culture. So position of women is not all that good. So we are healing that, which
Yeah.
is very difficult. But then there is more of this layer of just accepting spirituality, because and just not disconnecting from orthodoxy, but not seeing spirituality only as orthodoxy, because it became very popular at some point. We went so far away from it, so that when we started coming back to it, it was only that and nothing else. I
Yeah.
know we have this tradition, maybe only in India they have this tradition. We have a patron saint of lineage,
Mhm.
like the first, not ancestor, but first,
Mhm.
whoever was worshiping and doing god or goddess. And many of the saints are male saints who were actually not too keen on feminine energy. Like my patron saint was the one who destroyed the Artemis temple in Ephesus.
Mhm.
But then it's not about the person; it's about the energy that was actually, the The timing is around the winter solstice, and it's where the changes of seasons are, and worshipping of goddess actually was happening. So it's about the ones who were preserving the old ways and tradition and connection to this spiritual realm. And that's coming up to the surface now. So at least in my work, what's coming up more is about balancing male and female energies, not only about waking feminine energy and clearing the traumas that we as feminine who could not express themselves have, but more about clearing the conflict that exists in some plane, because it's about this is why we have all the problems that we have, because it's about misunderstanding and all of the programming that was created around what masculinity is and what femininity is and how we treat each other. So it in all of my clients who come, I see this. So I guess it's my sole purpose in a way to balance these energies within myself and in the collective. I do see change in the collective a lot more than, I don't know, I mean, when I started meditating in when I was 20 something. I was strange, you know, when I started being a vegetarian, they were actually looking at my eye pupils if I'm going to die in 3 days or I'm healthy. And I was strange, and I was in a cult. And now now it's so popular, you know. So there was literally maybe 3 or 2 people who were doing things underground, and you couldn't, you know. My first teacher ever came from USA, from California, and was a woman. She came to work for an organization, a non-governmental organization that I worked for, uh, on a peace project. And but what she did was basically develop visual skills and intuition. And this is how I got instigated and started in all this. I didn't work with people at that time, although my basic training, my education is in counseling and working with other people, but I didn't do it like that. I was really scared myself from you know, doing it openly, because even in before 2015, I still myself had problems with people not understanding what this is and being, you know, I still do, because I mean, my energy reads differently. We speak different languages energetically. So sometimes it's too much for people who get triggered, even when I don't do anything, you know? So, but yeah, it's more, it is, changes are happening in different ways, in different areas. But I guess for us, for people like you and me, we would like it to be a little bit quicker and different. This is a little bit of heavy area, because, you know, we had war in 2000, in 90s, civil war, and there are remnants of this still. They're happening now. It's still being instigated. We had the destruction of the country, so we became like smaller countries. And, you know, it's still felt in the energy in the collective, and the trauma of that, the pain, because basically people were intermarried or intermingled and had families and brothers and sisters who were fighting against each other. So we're still carrying a lot of unhealed wounds from that, and it takes a lot. So I don't know, there are different, you know, really different layers, but for me, it all comes down to this balancing of feminine and masculine energy and healing this wound between masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. Actually, it's interesting that many things you mentioned about the planes and the various layers of energy. This is something, like few months ago, I started channeling a book I'm writing. It's more like science fiction story of the soul who is designing her future incarnation on the earth. I wasn't thinking much about the story. I just felt like I need to write something. And as I started writing, there were all those layers uncovering as well. Like, for example, there is the plane of souls who call themselves to be like souls of many parts. There are souls who decide to be just one soul, like one singular and there are souls who can be multiple, and those multiple souls are living in the higher plane, and they are helping the other souls to evolve and learn and so on. And there is also the highest level of God, of course, and also the level of universal law. And it's interesting how all those information match each other in from various angles. So this soul is going also to Orion to experience wars between various star nations. And all those conflicts between star nations and technology forces and organic forces, they are also relating to the conflicts on the Earth throughout the history.
Because so I came here from
Mhm.
Orion. So I was, my incarnation was one of the queens of Orion. So I know a little bit about wars. So it's the system that is here is created on Orion, and all of the biggest drama and traumas happen in Orion. And I guess the souls who are more advanced are not are going there to heal that, not to experience. But that's my, you know.
And do you feel like it's because I also have people, clients from Orion, who are saying that they came actually from the future to this timeline to help prevent.
Yeah, that will be at least from my experience, Andromeda. The new Earth is in Andromeda now. That's how I sense it. Andromeda Galaxy, although very far away, there are most of the souls who are advanced do come from the future, from Andromeda. This is why, I mean, because it's so far away, it's what we experience as future. Yeah, they do come to prevent this, because the invasion, and it didn't start on Orion. It happened on Lyra.
Yeah.
Lyran Wars. And from Lyra I came to Orion, and then I don't know whether directly on Earth or the Pleiades came before. I am mixed up, but it's the, you know, the the places that I've been. So, and I actually had more lives in stars than on Earth.
Yes.
And yeah, but what are we experiencing now in the spirit, as in the spiritual war that we're talking about? They basically started there, and this is what we're healing. This is the I don't know, end times for these wars. At least that's how I feel it.
Yeah.
The beings, the species were in war. Although on Orion, those species were intermingling. They were intermarried.
Yeah.
So this is why we're experiencing a lot of war on Earth, and especially a lot of civil wars, I guess, because they coming from there. But you know, it's like these families that are Lyran families, and the other who are reptilian families are in constant battles. But it, you know, in my my reality, in my memory, that comes from a different plane. The invaders were not even reptilians.
Yeah.
The different kinds of energies that came and created all this.
Yeah, exactly. This is also what I feel, that sometimes that we tend to have this like the boxes for, like, this is the good side, this is the bad side. Those are the good families, and those are the bad families, and like the bad families attack the good families, and so on. But I feel that it's not about the family like the reptilians did it, but it's the different energy which wasn't understood and uncovered and couldn't be understood because it's from different material or the different substance.
Yeah, but it's also because of the trauma that they created for each other. It's, you know,
Yeah.
At that time it was trauma, and it was not only war trauma. I mean, like many manipulations and many stuff, and genetic manipulations happen there. So it's about the fragmentation of our souls that happened there. I don't know if it started on Orion. I know I was mostly fragmented there, but it's yeah, that's quite large trauma. And in all of these sessions, in all of these methods, what you do and what I do, we basically pick up fragments of our souls, because soul shouldn't be fragmented. It's not fragmented. Generally, there is a plane where the soul, from what I've seen with work with my clients, is not fragmented. But to be able to download this energy, we need to heal all this. And this is why when the memories start coming up, especially naturally to somebody, they can get entangled in the emotion of pain and hurt, and then start to project it on somebody, or I don't know, hate somebody because that person hurt them. And then we can start playing out this drama again with this person. So it needs, I mean, it shouldn't be like that. If we're aware enough, we should be able to transform it in a second. But it's a process, I guess, and this is why we need expert help.
Exactly. So maybe from on a little bit more positive note, was there something in your soul healing career, not just career, but did you manifest something which was miraculous to you? Like, did you experience something which was so beautiful that you couldn't believe it, that you were like, oh my God, I wished for this like few years ago, and now it's happening and it's amazing? Did you manifest something surprising?
I see it more in my clients than in myself. And I see big transformations in them. Sometimes I feel like hang on, what about me? You know? Yeah, I mean, my language started coming up from all this work, and some of my abilities, my gifts started coming back. Which I'm a really tiny person, and sometimes to handle all this energy becomes too much. And yeah, I manifested some connections, some relationships, but then, you know what I noticed, the more advanced you get, the entanglement, especially when it comes to something that is so far away and you cannot yet reach that memory because it's hidden for some reason, that can create a little bit of turmoil. But I don't know, the biggest a connection with my primary soulmate is the biggest gift of it, despite of sometimes being challenging, and other members of my soul group. And as I've seen many miracles happen as in the healing process of my clients. For instance, one of my biggest miracles is that a client who wanted to have a child, and she was in her late 40s, and she wasn't trying before that to have a child, so she didn't know she was sick. So basically her womb and all of the internal organs there were removed, and there was no possible way for her to have a child. She went to insemination process before she had to surgically build a womb for herself. So it was a lengthy process, and there was still very slim chances for her to conceive. She's doing this all on her own without a partner because the partner left during this process. It was too much for him. And it didn't work for several times. When she tried 2 times, I think it didn't work. And she only had one try left because the clinic wouldn't accept her again because it was risky. And then she came, that's what got her to session with me. She wasn't, before, she wasn't even thinking about spirituality and stuff like that. But we in the session we activated her womb, because the womb is a energetic space. It's not only something that is only physical, and connected her soul to the soul of the children. I didn't think myself that this is going to work because I was really, what a slim chance, But about a year later, she contacted me and she got twins. And this is exactly what she saw. She just saw, she got 2 girls, but she saw a boy and a girl. And others, I mean, babies and relationships and marriages that come. I mean, client comes, but they're having a problem with the relationship and cannot have a relationship for some reason. And then a month later, or I don't know how months later, or a year later, they're married, they have children. So that's my biggest, I mean, mainly, in clients who don't have a job and then they find a job. I do see things manifest and materialize. But, I mean, mostly focus on my work and then clients. So I can't tell you about my own personal examples. Yeah, when I manifested the flat that I live in, but I don't connect it to that. For me, it's more these spiritual connections and development of the soul that is more important than other external stuff. They just, whatever you need comes. And
Mm.
the biggest miracle for me are the people who come in my life in a certain moment when I need something, when I'm in trouble, or when I need to develop further. So it's mostly gifts that I receive through them, and most of the times are teachers or highly developed souls
Mhm.
who give me this for, I don't know, for free, for just out of the love of the divine. So that for me is the biggest.
Mm.
You know, having met some of very spiritually developed people who usually, I mean, wouldn't, like one of my teachers who is in Greece. I mean, I just needed to connect with him again. I didn't see him or speak to him for 13 years, and I was going through something challenging, and I needed some help, and I needed to be taught how to create my Christ-like body.
Mhm.
And he gave me the through phone initiation for that and some help in
Mhm.
protection. So yeah, it's been it's rather challenging when you're an adept, not only working with other people, but you're an adept in your own development. You get tested a lot
Yeah.
on
Mm.
certain planes. And the more you develop, the energies that come to test you, the beings that come to test you are stronger. So yeah, that's been my biggest challenge, because I've been thinking a lot how to overcome this, and that's what I needed help
Mm.
with. So whenever I manifest something like that, or a travel that I wanted, and then I receive it for as a gift for free, that's there are usually many stuff like that. But you kind of asked me in the wrong moment, because I'm going through something challenging right now, and the energies around here are being, because we are becoming the part of the agenda. Energies around here in my area are a bit heavier. I mean, they are heavy, but usual than before, because there is a conflict in this area. There was conflict in Kosovo before, and we've been bombed because of that. So this is being pushed to the surface again for some reasons that are not, we don't see it at the moment. What I think is because more and more things are being uncovered
Mhm.
from everything that's been going on for the past couple of years, and they're wherever they can create a conflict or something as a cover up for that, that's being instigated.
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
So that's what's happening with us at the moment. And the people who are doing work like this usually also work in astral plane. So I've been more active there than actually physical.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that it was a beautiful journey. So to
So can you,
hear
because
about your story.
of the people who will be watching this from at my end, I mean, can you share a little bit about your work and explain how you do the work? Maybe if they want to look for
Uh, well, actually, I from what I learned from you, I do it a little bit differently. I guess for for me, I developed kind of not my own technique, but I learned just to do whatever is needed for the soul at the moment. So when people come to me, I usually connect to their akashic records, but also to the quantum field around their body. So I am taking them through what is needed right now. It's always something different and something unique. And what I've learned from clients who come to me, it's usually when they are on the verge of some big decision of their life or some awakening process. So usually, especially in past several months, when I started sharing more about light language and galactic wars and those heavy esoteric topics for wider audience, people started coming to me sharing their stories of memories of those things, and they start speaking light language, or they start feeling different things within their body. So what I'm doing is that I'm helping them uncover their gifts and strengthen their gifts in this reality. So usually what happens is that they come with a seed of some gift, and I help them release all the negative beliefs about their gifts and negative stuff they experienced in previous lifetimes, and also everything which happened in their family line, to help them uncover the gift and bring it to this earth. So this is what I'm what I'm mostly doing. And I had many individual sessions in past several months. So now I am trying to do more group work, because not because it would be tiring to have just one-on-one sessions, but because group work is so much fun. Because I finally came to the point when I want to have fun at the job. I also grew up with all those beliefs like work needs to be serious, and I have to heal people, and I have to take on their energy and stuff. And I released many negative beliefs about myself, and now I'm going to the point when I'm like, I want this to be fun for my clients and fun for myself. I want everybody to feel recharged after the session. So I'm creating now, what I'm doing are workshops in both in English and in Czech, or with where I will speak about Lemuria and light language codes of Lemuria, and I will use some Lemurian healing channeling stuff to help people both awaken their memories, but also to bring their light closer to the earth. So yes, this is what I'm doing. And
can you tell me how your light language developed? How you started speaking light language?
I've heard about it several years ago, and when I first heard it, I was like, this is something I will never do this stuff. It sounds so strange. It's something like hyper modern, esoteric, like BS, right? And so when I first heard it, I felt that this is maybe, it sounds nice, but not for me. And I think maybe a year after, somebody spoke just few words of light language to me, and that time my soul was like, I can recognize this. So several months after, I was giving a reading to one of my clients, and I could feel her stuck energy. Her soul was stuck in some hard memory of some galactic war or something. And I felt that if I will speak to her in light language, that it can bring her home. And I was so ashamed for the first time. I even asked her, like, would it be okay if I spoke to you in light language? I never did this before, but let's try. And she said, yes, please, well, let's try. And when I started to speak to her, both of us started crying because it felt like really returning home, and it felt really sweet and smooth and opening. So and I could feel all this old energy going away at one instance. So this is how it happened for me. And then I started searching, and I did some tutorials and courses on light language also, in order to be able to activate other people and to help them understand what they are speaking, what they are speaking light language. I'm still learning. I must admit that I'm meeting new dialects every week or every month. Sometimes it's like fairies, sometimes it's Elven, sometimes it's Arcturians, and every person comes with a little bit different language of light. And sometimes through their language of light, I can tell what they experienced in previous lifetimes. So I help them both awaken their light language, but also release the tension around speaking it and using it in their practice. So let's hope that this will be more.
So you have a lot of people who are interested in speaking light language.
Actually, yes, but I had to do the coming out. And when I first started talking about light language on social media, of course, I get some I got some, strange comments and some unfollowing and and stuff. But on the other hand, I gained people who were interested and who finally felt like, oh my God, I am speaking this in secret, or I did speak this within my church, or and I could feel the community awakening bit by bit. But also, it's connected to me being brave enough to come out in front of the broader audience and and face the not the criticism, but the judgments about like, oh yeah, maybe she became crazy after all. And first it was soul reading, now it's light language. What's going to happen next? uh, and yeah, so I think that when we are brave enough to speak our truth, even no matter if it's light language or healing of the souls or something, some people definitely will judge and so on, because judgment is the part of the collective. But I think more and more people are coming to realize that this is something which can help them and can liberate their soul and their energy. So I encourage everyone to speak light language, light codes, and to use light codes during their other spiritual work, because it's such amazing.
Yeah, it's just I see a lot more people coming out with light language, but a lot more from abroad than from here. Here, it's not still not so very well accepted. So, yeah, there are people, but not public. So I would like to have more community here to do something like that.
But
Yeah.
you can
I'm not doing work in light language, but whatever is in my soul that happens in a session, basically the codes that I download will create the change in the client. And some clients see it, but for me, it happens spontaneously. Actually, I did a session, like I told you, a QHHT session for it, but I wasn't able to speak it because I liked it. When I heard it, I liked it. And at that time, it was around 2016, I think. I heard somebody on YouTube speaking it, and there were only a few people doing that, not too many. And I couldn't in a session. It was too much of a block. And when somebody asked me, even when I started speaking it, I couldn't speak it in my room alone because it was too strange for me. But I couldn't stop it because I would wake up speaking like language that is unknown to me. I was seeing codes, uh, letters of an unknown inscription since my 20s in my dreams, and I write in it, and I scroll on a scroll, and I read from it, but I couldn't speak what I read. I read it in dreams, and I speak it out loud in dreams, but then I couldn't do that in my waking reality. And then in 2017, that just started waking up speaking something. And I before that, I got as a present a stone, meteorite, tektite. And I would sleep with this stone, and I would wake up holding this stone like this, and it was as if I'm holding a phone line with somebody and I'm speaking. And that got me. But it was a lot of clearing because I would get a lot very sick, and so it was clearing most of whatever was there so that I could do that. But I mean, besides sharing it publicly on YouTube and having guided meditations in it, I don't do work with it, and that's something I would like to develop. But you sing in the light language.
Yes, but it also took some time for me to.
Can you download somebody's soul song for somebody, or just your own?
Yeah, no, I do. I am doing soul songs or making soul songs for people. Not very often because it takes me so much time, because I want to always record it perfectly, so I spend several hours doing it, and it takes several weeks to finish. But when people want to have their own soul song, I create it, and I'm happy to do it. It's not just songs. Sometimes people want to understand what they are speaking, so I'm trying with my language songs. I'm helping them to release the blocks and shame around speaking it, and
But do you understand? Do you understand what you're saying?
I understand it energetically. I can translate the like few layers of the code, but usually I feel that the soul of the person I sing to understands it much better than my
Yeah, they understand it with their heart and energy.
Yeah, and sometimes people, for example, a few weeks ago, I got a request to create song for massage salon. Massage salon. I hope I say it correctly. So it was not just a song for one soul, but it was song for every soul which arrives to the salon. So I pushed myself to the limits. It took the song is like 50 minutes. um, it's I just had to really put my mind away when I was creating it, because I knew that if I was trying to think about it with my logical brain, I would never create it. So I was like, okay, God, just I'm putting my brain over here, and just I'm letting your energy through and do your work, and I will try to sing it as truthfully as possible. And this is how I create all the songs.
That's amazing. I would like to do something like that because I can't speak it that long. It's really amazing. But that means that you're obviously doing that on higher planes, on maybe on another planet, or that was your work somewhere.
Yeah, well, I think when we do exchange session, you can tell me, or I can tell myself when I.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So, are we going to do a little bit of light language transmission now for the collective and who's listening? Yeah.
Of course, yes. I was looking forward to this. So yes.
Yeah. So, well, whoever feels to start, let's just start, okay? Shtarmakiata Sretitia Kosanateata Washarata Sataketano Tua Katayasi.
Suno kama tukuati shia tamaki ya mongon dashi kaya moto kaya rashiki anta anarapia kodu kanmashi maya sua saki amata kiara tua sa.
Wakatatia Kanya Sinania Shuana. Ishkamana Katamana Warata Santoko. Yanakatosan Yako Yasuna Katia Senaka Nakorashe Wasata Yaka.
Eki ashua siya mehenu Eshia kuasa mute kinu bute
Wakasi Hanoko Nake Ayakorata Yase Nake Oanoa Wanayakono Tokasa.
Ayamashua siya kuame Mayana kuasia ture mune Wahasia koasu shane kamosati Kwame sore heliya ta
Ayata Naya Kawani Anoe Uwe Yuo Enake Uwe Yuo Tumake si Duo kusha meste ke no ko era tasi no ko yeju no ko era yeju no makete a koju no kata.
Mikä tuo sankia tankana ja mokte tukaya sunt ekoa motuk ja satak ja kuava tuoka. Ja drukna mateki kira kuasaki ja kuataki ja kuanta tusuk aama krekisia tuossa. Sia kuandi ja motak ja sannakua ja mot vuosaki ja taa.
Ena kate sano. Token sikitu ko era tasi ni juna kete koisha medagunua sedo dujin na gaya. Yenda ketuna ya sendete ua katia no ua la 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 tu kutu komai. Shoka. Thank you from my heart to yours.
Thank you so much. It was really beautiful.